Hi, Tim Unkert here, and in this video, we're going to make a worksheet that has 100 fraction division problems, and we're going to create it with Python. I'm going to write to HTML. I'm going to use the HTML to open in the browser, and then I'm going to use the browser to convert to a PDF. I'm going to use Vim for this program. You can use whatever text editor you like. So I'm going to open up my terminal, and I'm going to make a directory, and let's call that fraction division. Then let's cd into fraction division, and let's create 3 files. So one's going to be main.py, one's going to be list.py, and the other one's going to be fractions.py. Okay, I'm going to go and open main.py. All right, in main.py, I'm going to import OS, I'm going to import sys, and I'm going to import random. The first two are going to be so I can use classes from other files. The last one is so I can pick a random number from a list that I'm going to use to generate my problems. Okay, I'm also going to write sys.path.append and a little dot there, and I need that to bring in the classes as well. Okay, all right, so I'm also going to say from lists, that's from that lists.py file, I'm going to import a class called list that I'm going to create, and I'm going to say from fractions, I'm going to import a class that I call fraction. All right. I'm also going to create a new object based off the list class. All right, so I've got that. Now in another tab, let's open up another tab, and let's open up the list.py, and let's work on that. So I'm going to create a class, and I'm going to call the class list. All right, and then I'm going to create a method within the class, and it's going to be called random list. Okay, and I'm going to have a random number list, which is going to be a list, and I'm going to say for x in range from 1 to 51, that's going to give me numbers 1 to 50 because it's one less than the top. I'm going to take my random number list, and I'm going to append the x value. At the end here, I'm going to return the random number list. Okay, and I'm good with that. And I also want to create a fractions class. So I have to work on my fraction file. So I'm going to say tab new, and then fractions.py. All right, so I'm going to create a class and call it fraction, and I'm going to instantiate the class with this method here. I'm going to pass in numerator 1, numerator 2, denominator 1, and denominator 2. Okay. And in case you're curious, I'm using Control-N to do the autocomplete. That's built into Vim. All right, so I'm going to say self.numerator1 equals numerator 1. Then I'm going to yank this line and paste it 3 more times. I'm going to change this to 2 here, this to 2. And then right here, I'm going to change this to denominator 1 and use the dot command to do that. I'll do that again here, and then just replace this with 2. Okay. All right, so that's the start of the class. Now we want to have our numerator product. I'll create a method for that, and I'll pass in the self, and I'll say num underscore prod. Well, that's going to equal. So we're going to take, when we do fraction multiplication, you keep the first fraction the same, or fraction division, you keep the first fraction the same, and you change it into a multiplication problem by multiplying the reciprocal of the second fraction. So you just switch the numerator and the denominator. Okay, so the numerator product is going to be self.numerator1 times self.denominator 2. Okay. And we're going to return the numprod is what I'm calling the variable, which is for numerator product. Okay. And then I'm going to create another class called denominator product, and I'll pass in the self, and I'll say denominator product. Well, that's going to be self.denominator1 times self.numerator2. Okay. And we're going to return the denominator prod. Okay. Or den prod is with the variable, but it stands for denominator product. Okay. So now I want to simplify my result. Okay. So to do that, I have to find the greatest common factor between the numerator product and the denominator product. And so I'll create a function called find greatest common factor, pass in the self, and we're going to say, we're going to have some conditionals. Okay. And the reason being is I have to check if the numerator product is greater than the denominator product, then I want to go through values all the way up to the denominator product and stop there. Likewise, if the denominator product is greater than the numerator product, I want to go all the way up to the numerator product and stop there. Okay, so I'm going to say if self.numerator product is greater than or equal to self.denominator product. Well, if that's the case, then I'm going to say for x in range. Oh, and there's one more thing I have to do. I'm going to start at 2 and go up to the denominator product. So self.denominator product. The other thing that I got to do is I'm going to set the GCF initially to 1 because both the numerator and the denominator will be divisible by 1. Okay. So now what I'm going to do in this range, I'm going to have an if statement. I'm going to say if self.numerator product, if the modulo of that in x equals 0, meaning that when I divide it by x, there is no remainder, and, spell and correctly, and self.denominator product, if that modulo x also equals 0, well, I'm almost, my font's pretty large. That's why the line looks longer than it is. If that's the case, okay, what's going to happen is that x will be a factor of those two. And we're going to, since we're incrementing x up all the way up to the self.denominator product, and I have to actually add 1 here, because again, when you go to the top of the for loop, you have to add 1. So make sure to do that. So I'm going to do +1. Okay, so if it goes up to the denominator product, as it goes up, whichever one is the highest number that we record is going to be our greatest common factor. So we're going to say GCF equals x. Now, if we go and x increases, and again we get the modulo equals 0 on both of these, then it'll just replace it. Okay, so the highest one will be left remaining. That's the greatest common factor. I hope that makes sense. All right, so then I'm going to say if self.denominator product, if that is greater than or equal to self.numerator product. Note I could have just kept the numerator here and put less than or equal to as well, but you can do it either way. Okay, so now I'm going to say for y in range, start at 2, go up to self.numerator product, and we'll do modulo x, +1. We're not there yet. Okay, so we're going to go cycle, y is going to cycle from 2 up to whatever the numerator product is, whatever my numerator is in my solution. I'm going to say if, again, we're going to have the same line. So self.numerator product modulo x, if that equals 0, and self.denominator product modulo x, if that equals 0, well, then our GCF equals y. And actually, I put x again, so I'm going to have to replace that, make sure, because otherwise that will throw an error. So let's just fix that. All right, and then at the end of this, we are going to return the GCF, okay? All right, so now we're also going to create a method called reduced numerator, because we're going to have to reduce it, and we'll pass in the self, and we'll say, I'll call it RED for reduced, and then NUM for numerator. That's going to equal, okay, self dot numerator product divided by self dot find GCF, okay, by that method. We're going to return the reduced numerator, which is red num in this case. Okay, and then I'm also going to have the reduced, not numerator, but denominator. And I'll pass in the self, and I'll say reduced denominator is going to be self dot denominator product divided by self dot find GCF. Okay, and again, at the end of this, we'll return the reduced denominator. Okay, so that file is written. The lists is written, so now we can go back to our main method here, and our main file here rather. And now we can start to write to these new files we want to create. And we have to create three new files. So I'm going to say fraction division file is going to equal, we're going to open a file, that'll create it, just called fraction div.html, and we'll append to that file, and then I'm going to copy this, and here we'll insert Spanish file. Let's do Spanish here. And then also here, we'll do a solution file. Okay, so we created those three files. Now we're going to start to write to those files, but I want a for loop. So I'm going to say for problem in range 1 to 101. I'm going to now, first I'll create my numerators and denominators. So I'm going to say numerator 1 equals random.choice. That's why we imported the random module. We're going to take rand.random list, that method, and I'm going to copy these a few times. All right. So this is going to be denominator 1 and denominator 2. Okay, so we've got those created. We also want to create a new problem object that's going to equal to the fraction. We're going to pass in numerator 1, numerator 2, denominator 1, and denominator 2. Okay. All right. So we're good there. And now what I need to do is I need to now start to write to the files I created above. So I'm going to take this fraction division file and write, and we're going to write an F string, and we're going to say, well, we're going to have a heading too, because we're writing to an HTML file, and then the problem, and then we'll pass in the problem variable, close out my H2 heading, do a /n to move to the next line, and paste this a few more times. For the Spanish file and for the solution file. Spanish file, we're just going to add an A here for problema. Okay. All right. So now we're going to write to the fraction division file. Okay. Another F string, and we'll say something like what is, and then do superscript. Pass in the numerator 1, close out my superscript, do a slash there, write to this file again. Another F string, do a subscript, do denominator 1, close my subscript, do a slash, and then division symbol, okay, space, and we'll write to the file again. We'll do a superscript, do numerator 2, close out my superscript, and do a subscript. I'm just trying to keep these lines short. And then in the subscript, we'll write denominator 2, close out my subscript, have a comma, actually close a paragraph. We're going to have to do a paragraph above. So paragraph here. That should be good. And let's copy this stuff. Okay, and let's go for here, and we'll insert Spanish, go out, go back to here, end my macro, and add that to the Spanish file. Now, what I want to do is I want to go online, just Google English to Spanish, and do something like, what is, and so I want to get this upside down here. So I'll copy that, and instead we'll take this stuff out and paste in that, just do a little formatting. Okay, and now we've got our Spanish there. All right, so now I want to write to the solution file, and we're going to write a paragraph, and we're going to write the solution, and then superscript, and we're all doing F strings on this. So we're going to pass in the new problem dot, when we want to go to our reduced numerator method for the top. I'll go down to the next line. We'll do fraction division.solution file. So we want to close out that superstring, do a slash, do a substring, and then pass in the new problem dot reduced denominator. Okay, and then close it out, close out the substring, and then close out the paragraph there. Okay, and then probably like a slash n for formatting. Actually, all of these, well, I just want to slash n here, and slash n, whoops, slash n there, slash n, not b, n, okay. Final thing for formatting here, I want my fraction division file, I want to write, and then just 3 PR tags here with a slash n, and we'll copy this a few more times, do this for the Spanish file and for the solution file. Okay, and then go out of here. So I'm out of the for loop now, and I just want to close that, and we'll do this for the Spanish file and also for the solution file. Okay, so we got that all saved. Let's bring up a terminal and let's run this program doing main.py. It runs. Now, if we list out, we see that we've got 3 HTML files created. Okay, so let's exit out of here. Let's go and take a look at this HTML file here. So you see we have the HTML file created, the question, and the breaks. So now I'm going to format this one a little bit. So I'm going to start with a pre-tag here. I'm going to go down just a little bit and close out my pre-tag. And let me move this down here. Okay. All right, so I just put a color column. I have a little shortcut for that in my Vim based off the leader key. So anyway, so I'm going to create the name, and then I'm going to tab on over and start the date over here. And it's going to run a little bit longer. I'm going to have to guess at it a little bit, just based off of, because my font is increased up. So I'm going to actually decrease my font here slightly. Just make this a little bit longer, and then go down here, have your teacher. Try and get these formatted about the same, and then something like the period, right? Okay, and then I'm going to go here. Let's get rid of these extra lines. And let's go up here and now create some style. So I'm going to say that my body is going to have a margin left of 0.75 inches because we're trying to get this to look good in print. And margin right the same. And then I'm going to have my paragraph. I'm going to just increase my font a little bit. I'm going to say my font size is going to be 1.2 rem. Okay, so that's my style. Now I'm going to go down to the bottom of this and just create another paragraph here with my copyright information. So I'm going to say copy 2021 Timothy Unkert, all rights reserved. And I've saved that. So now I'm going to go here to my files, go to my Linux files, go to fraction division, go here. And I didn't close my style tag. That's why things are not showing up like a goof. I forgot to do that. You got to close that out. So, all right, so now I'll refresh it. And then we have the worksheet comes on up. The font's pretty good. We have the name, date, teacher, period. I'm going to go print and then save as PDF. So if you look, this looks like a pretty good worksheet. I might want to move these in a little bit for the line, but I think that's pretty good. It has pretty good settings there. Go on down. And you'll see that we have a copyright there. And the problems are spaced out fairly well. So I'm going to save this. Let's just create a folder, fraction division worksheets. Okay, go here, go into that. Let's just keep this as frac.div.pdf, save. Okay. So now what we can do is we can go back. Actually, let me go back here right to this file, and let me just go here and then visual mode GG. Let's yank that. Let's go back here and go to here and paste. Oops, and we messed up a little bit. A little formatting there. Okay. And we want to change this. So instead of name, I want nombre. Instead of teacher, I want maestro. And let's go over here to the date. I want fecha, and I think I want periodo here. Okay, I I checked this already on the using Google Translate. Hopefully that's fairly accurate. Again, the periodo I think has an accent on it. I believe it's periodo. You might want to check. And then I would go down to the bottom, add my copyright information, and then I would repeat the process for the solution worksheet as well. And then I've already done this and uploaded this worksheet into TeacherPay Teachers. I'll leave a link to that in the description below. But that's pretty much it for creating this worksheet using Python and HTML. If you found this video interesting, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. It really does help the channel grow. I'll leave links to the worksheet and to my social links down below. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Have a great day.